There are loads of vehicles available within GTA Online, and with every update that passes, Rockstar adds even more. But not all vehicles are created equal. There are some which are so much more valuable than others. And in today's video, we are going through 9 essential vehicles that you must have within GTA Online. Starting off, an obvious one, the Oppressor Mark II at 3.89 million, but it's definitely worth it. The Oppressor Mark II might not seem like a very friendly vehicle, and to be honest, it isn't. But for completing missions within free roam, this is simply something that you need. Now don't get this confused with the Oppressor Mark I or just the Oppressor. These are two completely different vehicles. The Oppressor Mark I will only have a limited amount of time in the air, and even though it could get you from point A to point B relatively quickly, the Mark II is so much better. Now you can get this slightly cheaper by completing the relevant missions that are linked to the Terabyte. But in order for you to do that, you will need to go and buy into the Terabyte and then spend a bit of time actually completing the missions. But with both of these, they are needed so that you can actually upgrade the Mark II to be its very best. Moving on, at number 2, we have listed the Brigade 6x6. This is a fairly new vehicle within the game as of 2023 because it was introduced with the previous update at the time recording this video, the Los Santos Drug Wars, which was released in December of 2022. Now the really cool thing with this is that yes, it has got a hefty price tag of $1.45 million, but you can get it for free. You do this by completing the first dose missions, in which there are 6 of them. This could potentially take you anywhere between 2 to 3 hours to go through these missions, but at the end of it, you do save $1.4 million and you get paid on top. Now, unfortunately, the Brigade 6x6 is not done yet, because you will need to pay an additional $750,000 on top in order to convert it from the Brigade 6x6 to what is the most essential vehicle, which is the Acid Lab. And the reason that this is essential is because it's an on-the-road business. You can take it wherever you want to go, making supply missions incredibly easy when trying to complete missions for the Acid Lab. Not to mention that this is aimed at solo players, so you can get a full bar of supplies and you're able to sell that without needing any other players. And because you can go through this relatively cheaply, it is something that you should be doing. At number 3, we have the Terabyte. Now with this, we did just mention it with the Oppressor Mark II, so this goes hand in hand. The Terabyte is a fantastic vehicle to own in GTA Online. It will set you back $1.375 million. And on the outside, the Terabyte is a very well armored and weaponized truck. But that's not the best part. Within the Terabyte, you'll find a home where you can store the Oppressor Mark II. And this is the only way in which you can add missiles to the Oppressor Mark II. And this in itself would make the Terabyte an essential vehicle. But on top of this, it does also unlock more content. From the Terabyte itself, you can also start missions which are called the Vehicle Cargo missions. And these can be relatively fun, as well as paying an okay amount of money at the end. At number 4, we have selected the Kosatka Submarine. This will set you back $2.2 million, unless you pick it up at a good time when Rockstar are discounting this, which always seems to be happening. The Kosatka is a massive submarine, and that would be cool if it stopped there, but it doesn't. Because this is actually used to begin the Cayo Perico heist, the best heist for making money as a solo player or as part of a group. Now making this is an easy purchase, although you do need to go through quite a few different cutscenes. A cutscene at the music locker, which takes about 5-10 minutes. Once you leave, you can buy into the Kosatka, but then you'll need to go through further cutscenes with Pavel, and then you'll need to go through even more once you approach the Cayo Perico island. But once you complete this for the first time, even though it's going to take some time to go and do all the setups, after that, you will be able to go through this at a much faster rate, completing a heist every hour. And that means not only does the Kosatka give you the ability to unlock more content, but it's also profitable. At number 5, we have the Mobile Operations Center. This is going to set you back $1.225 million. And quite simply, the Mobile Operations Center is a vehicle that can be used to modify weapons, upgrade vehicles, and start missions. It acts fairly similar to the Terabyte. but it's also a heavy weaponized and armored truck. And number 6, we have the Akula. The Akula is arguably the best helicopter within GTA Online. This is due to its stealth mechanic. The stealth mechanic will keep you off the radar whilst in the air. And with GTA Online, especially if you're going to be going into public lobbies, you know that whenever you get close to another player, they tend to be trigger happy. And it's easy for them to do so when you're on the radar. They can look down at their minimap, see that there is another player approaching quite quickly, and they tend to just use their Oppressor Mark II, turn around and fire missiles. But that becomes slightly harder when you're not even on the radar. And if you're trying to use the helicopter not just to grief players, but to complete various other missions where you need to take down other players, maybe destroy their delivery runs, this is a great way in order for you to approach them without ever setting off any alarms. You can then use your missiles, complete the mission, claim the reward, and go on with the rest of your day. Overall, this is a great helicopter. And number 7, we have the Toreador. The Toreador is the best submarine. Along with that, it's also being an armored submarine that has missiles. And not to forget that it is also a pretty decent car. In general, this is a vehicle that is extremely well rounded. Goes underwater, jumps out of water, goes on land, you name it. It is the most useful vehicle within game. Now it is going to set you back with all of this technology around $1.66 million, but then again, you can use it for various other activities. Instead of having to use the on-hand helicopters to do supply runs to go out in the open sea, you can use the Toreador, and this will allow you to quickly get in your vehicle, drive to where you need to be, go in water, head all the way to your location, collect the supplies, and then make your way back without having to do that tricky thing where the supplies are in the water, the waves are just keep on crushing over it, and you need to level that helicopter ever so slightly to make sure that you touch the water to get the supplies, but not too much that you just submerge, where you now need to swim back with helicopters and boats probably shooting at you. Definitely a useful vehicle to have. And number 8, we have selected the Pariah. The Pariah is one of the fastest cars in the game and comes in at a great price too of $1.42 million. If you are someone that's trying to do time trials or races or anything that's time sensitive and you like driving around, then this is the vehicle for you. Getting from point A to point B much quicker than any other driving vehicle within the game. And finally, at number 9, we've selected Laser. The Laser is the strongest jet within the game. So to put it simply, if you're looking for the best and fastest jet within GTA Online, then there's no other choice other than the Laser. Now with this, it's going to set you back $6.5 million, being the most expensive vehicle that we've spoken about within today's video. But as long as this isn't your very first purchase that you intend to make within GTA Online as a beginner, and you're able to build up enough money through other means of businesses and got those actively running, and you've got money actively flowing in, then this is definitely a vehicle that's worth buying into despite its hefty price tag. There are certainly more expensive items within the game which have less use cases. And this is certainly useful, especially if you're going into the hangar business where all supply missions are more or less requiring you to be within the air. And the jet happens to be one of the best vehicles that you can use for those types of missions. But anyway guys, these are the 9 most essential vehicles that you must have within GTA Online within 2023. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see a bit more from me, then I highly recommend clicking our next video on screen. That video will go through the most efficient way in which you can start GTA Online right now, from beginner all the way to being a multi-millionaire. So click that video and I'll be over there to guide you through absolutely everything.